here in the USA. Thanks for joining us. So it's time for an update on all things new with the robot product line, and more specifically, what's changed in 2019, and how about a Charles Dickens reference here, what is yet to come in 2020? So Tim, I like to say that robot never takes a vacation, never calls in sick, and never has a bad day. And I hope everybody out there has had a good experience with robot this year. My name is Chuck Losinski. I'm the Director of Technical Solutions here at Help Systems, and I'm joined today by Tom and Tim. Tom.
Thank you, Chuck. Great to be here. This is, I was telling Chuck earlier in the lobby time, the 20th anniversary of doing webinars by Help Systems. We've been doing it since December of 1999. I just realized that today. I'm excited to be with you here again yet on another update on the robot product line. Exciting stuff, and it's great to be here and sharing our story. And it's been a great year in 2019. Almost went back to 1900s.
And Tim Woodfield, good morning.
Good morning,
Tim,
guys. Thanks. I'm doing very well. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Tom and Chuck. Yes, my name's Tim Woodfield, Director of Development, focused primarily on the IBM and the robot products, but any other product that runs on the I falls under my team as well. But today we'll be talking about the robot products and what the team has done and what we've got accomplished with it. So looking forward to sharing that with folks.
All right, and today you're in our Boulder office, aren't you?
Yes, that is correct, with the MPG team, the Performance Navigator group.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so for everybody who's attending, today's webinar will be about 45 minutes. We'll have questions at the end, so we'll save some time for that. And as usual, we'll follow up with an email with a link to the recording and some additional collateral.
Awesome, thanks, Chuck. Well, the robot product line has evolved over the years, and some things that obviously we're very well known for Robot Schedule, and that was the founding product for the robot product line. And you should know just a few things point out there as we overview it. Robot Schedule is not just an IBM I scheduler. It can reach out to your enterprise, and it can integrate with SQL Server servers. It can run SSIS packages. It has integration with Enterprise One, SAP, Windows, Unix, Linux. And then also Robot Replay is a product that we've had for years that allows us to automate any green screen that hasn't been written to run in batch. We can learn those and play them back as batch jobs. Certainly something we can do. And if people are talking about robotic process automation or RPA type topics, we also do that at Help Systems. So very excited to be with you on that product. We still do a lot of monitoring systems, monitoring QSysOper, resources, those kinds of things. Over the last 3 years, we've also gotten into high availability with Robot HA. We have a product that can certainly compete with all the other incumbent products out there. Still do a lot with backup and recovery, Robot Save, and then performance monitoring with the conversion of the QSystem Monitor product a few years ago back to Robot Monitor. Very powerful product. Chuck will be showing that product today. Disk storage, if you struggle with your IFS and managing the IFS, Robot Space is really a good product in helping to identify what's growing, and not only identify it, but also remove it if you need something to help you audit and remove and archive the IFS objects. Capacity planning, Tim's out in the MPG offices. We've added that into the product line through acquisition. Performance Navigator is kind of the de facto sizing tool for Power and IBM I, but also keep in mind it also works with AIX, Linux, Solaris, HPUX, and if you're looking at AI and doing some AI projects, artificial intelligence, we also can help size the newer AC922 boxes for AI implementations. And then on the bottom, we have the Robot Reports product. So went through kind of an overview there, probably a little more than I should have, but always good to kind of refresh what's all in the Help Systems robot product line. And then over to you, Tim.
All right, thanks, Tom. So some major updates that we did in 2019. Obviously, every time IBM releases a new version of the operating system, we are early release and we're on top of that. We go through the entire portfolio of products, and we have grown above and beyond just the robot products. Obviously, we have 86 products out there that run on the I, and part of that we'll talk a little bit about later on, but we verify, test, and make any modifications we need to. Robot Schedule Enterprise in the last year has come out with a version that is compatible with our Automate interface, so we're version 11 support there. Robot HA, we're very excited about this. We're doing a MIMIX transition. We've been working with customers and working with them from the standpoint of making sure they don't lose any of that investment they've made in that MIMIX setup and being able to leverage that going forward. Robot Monitor, that team's been very busy. We took our top CPU using jobs out there, and we've added a little bit more granularity so you can drill into those SQ, specifically those SQL job views. Added some more functionality to job actions so you can hold, change, end the job right from our product, and also be able to view the spooled files. And we've added some functionality around disk arm utilization. We've heard from our customers that that's very important as well, and understanding just how much those disk arms are being utilized and being able to monitor for that. And then we've added a nice little feature to help you just see at a glance what your system is doing with the critical areas, and that's called Watch List, and that's as part of our Insight browser integration. Going forward, as far as Robot Console, we've also made Robot Console forward into the Insight mobile web interface, and we've added some nice functionality there. Robot Alert. With Robot Alert, we've always been able to install that into an ISP to work with Power HA, but we've actually now taken the manual process out of that and made it more functional, like Robot Schedule and Robot Console as part of our install process. Obviously, lots of people are using Office 365, so we've added that compatibility into Robot Alert as well, because we know that's important to folks, and we're using Office 365 as well. And then Performance Navigator, we're going to show this as later on in the presentation, but the enterprise reporting dashboards really beefed those up, really allowed customers, or specifically our MSPs, but customers to brand that and actually bring their branding forward into that screen and make it easier to use. And then just in general, from a robot brand perspective, customers have had to update SysLive every time they updated one of our products. We removed that dependency and allowed SysLive to be, RBT SysLive to be updated individually, and then bring Sleeper down during that process. Then when other products come through and have to be updated, you no longer have to bring down Sleeper. And then finally, the GUI TLS 1.3 came out in late 2018, so we've added that. We've upgraded our GUIs to use that functionality and continue to expand the security of our products.
All right, thanks for that quick update, Tim. Of course, we're going to dive into some of these topics as we go through the presentation today. Quick polling question. We just mentioned Insight a little bit, and so the question for you folks is, have you taken advantage of Insight? Yes, with Robot Schedule Network, Deployment Manager, the PowerTech Exit Point Manager. No, but have it loaded, or no, haven't heard of it. The product itself is our web and mobile solution that was originally developed for Robot Schedule. That was the first module in Insight, and from there we've been incorporating other Robot and PowerTech products, and also our products that are totally non-IBMI, including Automate, for instance. Think of our antivirus tool for the Linux world. Tom, Tim, comments?
No, this, I mean, keeps evolving. Insight has been something we've been working on for 5 years now. And to me, if any reason to use it is just a deployment manager, it's great for that. And then if you look at analytics, we've also added in Insight Analytics. So you can actually use the tool to do BI type dashboards and stuff, and integrated that even with backup and recovery media services, BRMS. So you can build dashboards around that. Awesome.
Yeah, just a real nice plug for the deployment manager. Love that tool. If you haven't looked at it, please take a look. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier as a customer.
Yep, sharing the results. So you can see that there are some people who have it loaded, haven't used it yet, but I think you're going to see some cool stuff today. And we do have some collateral out there that you can certainly replay. I recently did a webinar specifically about robot and PowerTech tools in Insight. So check our website for that. So let me close that.
And that was a great webinar. You did a great job on that with Sandy.
Well, thank you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our agenda today. We're going to talk quick about 7.4 updates specifically, then we're going to move right into Robot HA, Robot Console, Robot Monitor, Performance Navigator dashboards, and then Tim's going to finish up with Independence Day for RBT SysLive, along with a little bit of a roadmap for 2020.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. So as we talked about earlier, we're an active participant in the IBM Beta Code program. So we get a hold of the 7.4 release early on before it's ever even made available to the public before GA. So we've been working with it for a very long time, and as well as with our IBM partnership for both PowerHA and BRMS. PowerHA specifically had some features that they were contributing to, so they've been working on it even longer with that team. So we've had access to this beta code for a very long time. And like I said earlier, 11 brands that work on the IBM I, actual products, 86 different products. With that process, we executed well over 1,000 test cases, made modifications as necessary, but our primary concern was making sure our products were still functional on 7.4. We give feedback to IBM as part of that beta program. And what we saw on this one, up and down across the board, very solid release from IBM. So if you're considering going to 7.4, it's a good release. It's been working very well for us, and we've had very few issues getting our products up and going on that.
And Tim, just a plug on our webinar we did back in August on upgrading to 7.4. We did that with Daryl from CSP, and did a great job. So if you are upgrading to 7.4, look for a webinar on upgrading to 7.4 on our website that you can play back. It'll walk you through all the steps to go there, and we give 7.4 what, 2 thumbs up, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about the Robot HA MIMIX transition next. And first of all, for those of you who don't understand what Robot HA is, it is what they call logical replication, or I like to refer to it as software-based replication that uses the built-in local and remote journaling to make your life easier in replicating your data from one IBM I server or partition to another server or partition, and or even multiple targets. So people use Robot HA for doing business continuity, high availability. We do work with PowerHA integration, so we can integrate in live in SysBase and pick up those things maybe that you haven't moved into an IASP. HA in the cloud is becoming a hot topic, and matter of fact, shameful plug for a webinar coming up on December 12th. I have 3 players in the marketplace, IBM included, and SkyTap and Meridian, who will be discussing IBM I in the cloud, and one of the topics will be that. People use this for data propagation. Maybe you need to move data from one partition to another for test purposes, for BI purposes. We can have multiple targets. And then thinking about things like doing your backups on the secondary system so your main production system doesn't have downtime. So Robot HA, very flexible, very excited about it, and Tim's team has done a lot with it. Let's talk about what's new. And one of the newest things is this transition program, where we have the ability to help transition you from one of the existing products out there, primarily MIMIX. So what we find, why would you want to do that, is maybe you've never done a role swap. And we see that quite often with people. It's a combination of things. It's education, it's knowledge, and it might be the tool and the process that you've been using to do this that makes it too complicated. Some people only have a DR version of MIMIX, which means they're not allowed based on licensing to actually do a role swap. We can help you out there too, because we eliminate that. You can use our tool however you want. Our current tool requires too much daily care and feeding. We do see that a lot, where you're spending a lot of time monitoring the solution. And because Help Systems also has some great monitoring solutions, why not integrate this all into one vendor solution, and we could do your HA and your monitoring. The other thing we see out there is a lot of performance issues that are impacting the production server. We'll see things as high as 35%. And when we look at Performance Navigator, where HA solutions are taking up that many resources on your production server, and we do things differently. We'll explain that in a bit. The cost of our current solution has forced us to look. Certainly, we end of year budgets, maintenance, things like that are up. I know we can save you some money there. And then, of course, some people, it's just purely we've never achieved the level of automation that we needed in our HA solution. And of course, we don't have the tools, and some people just simply don't have an HA solution, right? So with the process, we allow you to do a POC where you can actually load Robot HA right alongside the existing tool. As long as we're not replicating the same set of libraries, we'll be okay there. Our support team will help you out. And again, just don't replicate the same things. And then the transition process itself, we can print out the rules, we can move the rules one at a time, and then we can switch over to Robot HA and then move some more rules and then switch completely over to Robot HA so that you're all in one solution doing your replication. And we do have built-in audit and notification processes in there, and or you can also use Robot or Halcyon to pick up that monitoring for you if you'd like. But again, the purpose is automation. So if we look at the MIMIX transition, we have a menu system that walks you through this. So we couldn't have made this any easier. Print out the rules, extract the rules, transition the rules. Again, you can transition them one by one, one data group at a time if you'd like, and then start syncing the transition and start the process up so that we're taking over and actually doing the HA process. Now, as we move to the next slide, some of the things to consider with this, though, is that, we want to make sure that we continuously replicate and we don't cause any business outages as we go through this process. That's why we refer to it as a transition process versus a conversion. Your sales rep might call it a conversion. We like to think of it as transition on the technology side because we realize you can't do this big bang approach to converting. The other thing is certainly we're going to use your existing rules, but this is also an opportunity where you might want to improve on the process and look at what you're doing and fix things up that maybe you've never been happy about before. As I said, we avoid the big bang approach on this and eases your team into this new technology. And also then you can provide that side-by-side comparison. Tim, I don't know if there's anything else you'd add to that.
No, I think one of the things that we heard from customers was that rip and replace really doesn't work well when you're talking about HA and this environment and understanding the impact if things don't go well. So that's why we came up with this transition. To your point, Tom, it allows you to stick your toe in the water, get a feel for how the product works, and another opportunity to clean up possibly what was implemented years ago by somebody else.
All right, thanks, Tim. Our next topic, we're going to jump into Robot Console, and specifically we're going to talk about web and mobile for Robot Console. If you're not familiar with Robot Console, that's our message monitoring solution, been part of the Robot product line for quite some time, and over the years we've enhanced the product for also doing system resource monitoring and monitoring various logs on the system. But one of the concerns or comments from our customer base was, well, what if I'm not on site? All right, so we brought Robot Console into our Insight unified interface in 2019, and Insight was developed as a web interface and also a mobile solution for your IBMI product base. All right, so we're continuing to add more and more Robot and PowerTech products into this interface, and also incorporating other technologies that we have from help systems that aren't associated with IBMI. So once again, you can have a unified interface and also a mobile view. And as the guys mentioned, there's also something called Deployment Manager, which you can see here. Looks kind of like your iPhone updater or Android updater, where it indicates what power products need to be updated, and with about 2 clicks, you can be updating your products on IBMI. So what did we do with Robot Console? Specifically, we focused on operator interactions with Robot Console. I mean, Robot Console sits there and monitors your system and lets you know when you might have an issue. But if you're not on site, how do you manage those messages? So we brought the message center functionality into Insight, and we also brought the resource monitor status. So at any point you can see what messages are outstanding, and you can answer them here in the interface, and likewise your resource status. And then we've also incorporated dashboard widgets into the console Insight interface, so you can combine multiple partition Robot Console views into a single dashboard, or you could combine Robot Console with other robot products such as Robot Schedule or PowerTech products and so forth to get more of a holistic view of what's going on with your system. So let's take a quick look at not Robot Monitor. Let's
It's almost like will a robot stand up, Chuck?
All right, here you go.
Remember that show?
Here you go. I'm actually going to move that off to the side. And here's Robot Console. So this is Insight. Insight is a HTTP server running on a Windows or Linux instance somewhere in your organization, pointing back at your IBMI server and collecting data for those IBMI servers in your organization that have PowerTech or robot products installed on them. And I've got my Robot Console view of my message center. You can see I have a message here that I could reply to. All right, I can also drill into it, look at spool files, job logs, display QHIS. So this is right out of the message center functionality that you might see in our GUI robot console, or for those of you still using green screen, same functionality there, but now you can do it sort of on the fly. Likewise, because this is a web interface, of course, you can use multiple tabs. You can bookmark these. So here's my resource monitor status. All right, and there's functionality here, for instance, to check the status immediately or maybe put the resource on hold or release it. And as mentioned, you can combine this functionality, the robot console functionality, along with other dashboard widgets that are available for the robot PowerTech product line, or some of our other products that are incorporated into Insight, such as Automate, Intermapper. All right, Tim mentioned the Insight watch list. All right, that's for robot monitor. And likewise, this of course is our mobile interface. So as you collapse your browser, of course, you're going to have a little different view, and that happens automatically. I didn't have to do anything. It's a responsive design, so it works well on a tablet or phone type interface. All right, guys, any commentary about Insight?
No, it looks good.
Awesome.
Nice job on that one. That's all I can say too.
All right, awesome. Wow, I left him speechless. That's great. Let's drill into our robot monitor a little bit, and specifically the topic that Tim brought up, ODBC, JDBC, and SQL drill down. So just as a reminder, here's what we did in 2019, and one of the big concerns out there in industry is SQL requests, especially those coming in from JDBC, and monitoring those, putting real-time proactive monitoring and being able to drill down on that activity to see exactly what's going on. The other topic, of course, is Power HA. Help Systems develops Power HA, and along with Robot Monitor, which is now incorporated into, or Robot HA, which is incorporated into Robot Monitor for automatic monitoring, Power HA is also incorporated there as well. Job actions are important, so being able to detect a JDBC connection is hammering your system, put that on hold, do a little research on it, and maybe even end it if you need to. So just for example, monitoring the JDBC activity coming into my system, I get notification that my JDBC workload has exceeded a certain CPU percentage. Now what I can do is I can drill into the Robot Monitor graphical interface. I can see exactly what jobs are associated with JDBC. I can easily detect a job that's consuming a lot of CPU due to a SQL request potentially. And then I can drill down on that SQL request, get into the SQL statement, the IP address, and I can work with that job and potentially put it on hold if necessary. Also, we added, yeah, go ahead.
Chuck, just want to say that was one thing that we got back from customers is the ability to see the actual SQL statement and how important was then for them to get to that root cause analysis whenever they run into when their system goes bump in the night. So I think this is a nice feature. It came out previously, but it still continues to add value to this product and what the customer's trying to do with it.
Yeah, to bring visibility to the SQL command and have that happen really quick. And likewise, as Tim mentioned, not only are we collecting the top CPU users across your entire partition, but specifically those that are consuming CPU due to SQL, and we keep that history for as long as you'd like us to keep that detailed level history. Also, we incorporated Power HA cluster monitoring. So if, for instance, your node on your target system becomes unavailable, so you're no longer replicating data to your target system, that could be an issue. So we bring proactive monitoring into that as well. All right, now we are going to dive into Robot Monitor a little bit. So if you're not unfamiliar with Robot Monitor is a real-time performance application and system monitor for your power server and also for your VIOS or AIX server. It provides real-time insight as to what's going on with your system right now and also gives you historical information as well. So for instance, you can see we had a performance spike here, and I think we're going to have another little performance spike here in just a second. The great thing about, there we go, the great thing about Robot Monitor is its ability to give you real-time feedback. So here on my Wisdom system, you can see we've got some activity going on. So I'm going to drill into this. Looks like it's due to JDBC. So let's drill into that. Looks like we've got a JDBC job consuming a lot of CPU. Looks like it's Tom. Let's look at the SQL. Okay, so his original SQL completed, but we do have the IP address, open files, call stack. Here's our actions that we can drill in on. And of course, here's the job log. All right, so quick visibility into that. Also, let's see what else is going on in terms of performance on my system. All right, so currently we're using some shared CPU, 217%. You can see we have a spike here. All right, so I can drill down on this and I can see that there's actually multiple requests out there. I can navigate up and down. Here's, look at that, we got a big job going on now. All right, thanks, Tom.
Real creative.
Yeah, Tom's hammering my system. Once again, we can drill down on that. So what's happening is every 30 seconds, we're collecting the top 10, 20, 30 jobs that are running on your system. And we keep that historically so you can go back at any particular time and see exactly what was going on. It could have been 2 o'clock last night. It could have been Sunday afternoon. And you're doing some research as to exactly what was running. So this is the data that we keep. And then we added high CPU users using SQL. All right, so this is a subset of the top CPU users that we collect every 30 seconds. We also collect high disk IO. All right, dashboards is also part of this. So I have a dashboard that is devoted to high availability. All right, and I've got both Robot HA and Power HA here. And so the question is, what happens if for some reason that you have problems with your Power HA target system right here? All right, so at the lower part of the screen, you can see that my ELBA target, Able and ELBA are connected together for Power HA purposes. Able node is still up, but my ELBA system just came down. All right, so I can send out notification that my ELBA target is down and we need to take some action. All right.
Yeah, I think that's the key on all. That's the key thing there with every one of these is that you can have notification over when you go over one of these thresholds, right?
Exactly. Yep, it's
hey,
both
Chuck,
visual
and I'd like to add.
Yep.
I'm happy that you're showing our gauges here because that came out with the latest release as well. And we'd love to hear if customers find them useful, if there's value in these gauges, adding it to that view in the dashboard, because I think they look cool, but we want to make sure customers are using them and understand that or find value in these new tools.
Yeah, good point. Yep. And now let's continue the performance topic. Let's talk Performance Navigator.
So, when you think about Performance Navigator, I always think of a tool that's been, again, very handy for a lot of customers on IBMI when it comes to capacity planning, performance analysis. And that's exactly what we're talking about here is the ability to take your power server, whether it's IBMI, AIX, and Linux, and be able to have this tool collecting the performance collection data or the NMON data from the non-IBMI platforms, and then be able to look at that data for capacity planning services, for doing analysis, troubleshooting type things, monthly, annual reporting, so you can report back to your management team what's being consumed, and then that big part of problem determination where you can say, here's where we were last month, here's where we are today, what's changed, what am I missing here? Is it a IO issue? Is it a memory issue? Is it a processor issue? And the good thing you should know about this tool is it's used by over 1,000 data centers worldwide and business partners worldwide to help them with capacity planning, troubleshooting, and even IBM TechLine themselves uses this tool to help them size new purchases for the business partner channel around the globe. So very excited to have Performance Navigator as part of our family.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And when I think about Performance Navigator, I think about the vast number of built-in reports and graphs that are available in the tool. So you can navigate through those actually fairly easily. And the issue, though, is that with all these various reports and graphs that you can generate out of the tool, it's bringing that into a format that is easily digestible by management or by your team. All right, so what you could do is you could take these charts and graphs and reports and copy and paste them into a larger document, so to speak. But the folks at Mid-Range Performance Group Now Help Systems created something called Power Analytics, which dives through the data that's collected via collection services on your system and leverages those reports and graphs that you could create one by one, but in this case uses a script to build an HTML presentation of multiple reports. And to make it even easier, with the latest version of Performance Navigator, there's now a dashboard that you can create and brand to your organization. And what's really cool about this is you can create a hierarchy starting at the frame, giving you navigation down to the individual partition. And then for each partition, you can get at hyperlinked reports that will drive through all the analytics that were executed for that particular partition. Very cool interface, makes it very easy for instance, your management folks or your engineers to drive through all the data and access it when they need it. Tim,
Chuck,
comments?
and just talking to the team here, we're getting a lot of good feedback on this feature, and you hit it right on the head. Ease of use, ease of setup. It's made it very popular from that standpoint that it's easy to get to, easy to set it up, and easy to run once they have it in place.
Awesome. All right, Independence Day. Tim.
We're calling this Independence Day, even though it's not the middle of summer. So if you've ever had to update our robot products, one thing you might have run into, might have been annoying for you, is the having to bring down RBT Sleeper, which is what's running their jobs behind the scenes. And RBT Sleeper exists and lives in our RBT SysLab. So we've now been able to build our products independently. And this is just going back in time. If you've been a robot product customer for a long time, we used to send you a tape with all the products on it. So that was our building masters. And our products always had a little bit of a dependency there on building up with each other and including SysLab. We've taken that out now, finally, now that we don't have to ship tapes any longer. And that also allowed us to make RBT SysLab an independent build and update as well. So you only have to do it once. If SysLab is not, if Sleeper is not involved, we don't bring Sleeper down. So we've tried to make this easier to install, easier to update the product line, and just taking that pain away from customers.
Yeah, and also if you fold in the deployment manager and Insight, it makes our update process even that much easier.
Great plug, Chuck. Thank you. So just from a robot roadmap as we go forward, some of the themes that we're talking about here at Help Systems and what we're trying to drive with the product line: enhanced Power HA support. Obviously, we're working closely with the Power HA team, so that comes across multiple products, making sure that we're supporting the Power HA environment. When I say that, we're talking about the independent asks, right? Continue to build out our help systems insight integration. And that's always going to be important because we keep hearing from customers, browser interface needed in a browser. And it makes it just much more skinny from the standpoint of easier to deploy to your user community. Robot HA, we want to continue to improve our user interface and our user experience. So we're going to continue to build on that. And our main theme with that product is ease of use. Tom talked about Robot HA earlier, and he talked about swaps and just getting the product installed and getting swaps going. I consider the swap the ultimate audit, right? You do a lot of audits to keep track. Am I good? Am I good? Could I do a swap? Could I do a swap? You don't really know until you actually do the swap. So the swap I consider is the ultimate audit, and making sure customers are comfortable with doing swaps is very important to us, and making that very easy to use and implement is also important. Robot Monitor, we're working on Linux monitoring. We want to make sure we're a solution across all OSs that run on the Power platform. So Linux is just a logical extension of that product line because we already do AIX and BIOS and all that good stuff. And then dashboard rotation. We have lots of different dashboards, lots of functionality. If you've used Robot Monitor, there's lots of things going on with Robot Monitor. And just being able to rotate through various dashboards make it just that much easier to use and easier to work with. And then finally, Robot Reports. If you're a Robot Reports user, RBI is something you might be using as far as a browser interface into the Robot Reports product. We're going to be migrating that over to Insight. So we want to, that tool hasn't been touched in a long time, and we want to upgrade that and get that going in Insight and make that a viable tool in everybody's environment and leverage the power of Insight to do that. Okay, Chuck?
Awesome. So, education and professional services is important too. And as your team has switched over the years, you may feel that you need some training, education. We have online training for Robot Schedule and Robot Council and a few of the other robot products. Along with that, we can do health checks where we take a look at, are you getting the use that you want to get out of our products? As Chuck said in the opening, Robot never gets sick. Robot doesn't take vacations, things like that. But if Robot doesn't have the rules to automate your environment, then, in a way, what good is it? So with a health check, we can help point out some of those things that we can help you out with. Then, of course, we also do live and online training. The education is certainly on any of the robot products, Performance Navigator, Robot Monitor, Robot HA, Robot Schedule. We educate people all the time on those products. And then capacity planning services. If you are struggling with performance and wondering why you're not getting what you need out of your systems, we can help you out with that and do planning for the next upgrade, consolidation projects, combining AIX and IBMI in the same frame, things like that we do all the time. And then one of the things that Chuck and I participate in, and many of our other pre-sales team members do, is what we call technology or tech updates from help systems. It's usually a 30 to 60 minute conversation, probably more like 60 minutes, where we go through and we talk about your roadmap and our roadmap and where we have some commonalities, things you might be looking for in our products, updates across the board, whether it's just robot you're interested in or PowerTech or SQL or Halcyon. We can update you on all those different products and really personalize this event for your organization. It's a great opportunity to bring along your systems admin, but also your infrastructure manager, your director of application development. We really have a lot to offer, and it continues to grow here at Help Systems. Tim and his group, and hats off to the support team and the development group, tested over 86 products that we have that run on IBMI. So think BI, think document management. We do all those things too around IBMI.
All right, Tom, and I've shared out our next polling question. What sort of follow-up would you like from us? So please take a minute and answer those questions. And in the meantime, we will take your questions. And let's see what we've got. Oh, yeah, okay. Here's a question from Tim. Not our Tim, but another Tim. Does Help Systems have a robot replay for Windows?
Well, the answer to that is, yeah, technically we do, and a little more than that. It's called Automate, and as you saw in one of the update slides, Automate is a product that we've We did acquire it. It was first developed or started shipping back in 2002. We've owned it now for 6 or 7 years. It is robot replay for the Windows GUI type interfaces, browser interfaces, but a little bit more powerful in that it can do if then else logic. And we have the ability to connect that up with robot schedule. So we can take and say, run this on IBMI and then go out and check this email box with Automate to say, is there a file there? Grab the file, read it in Excel, poke a 5250 or Telnet session and update some green screen application. You can do all those kinds of unique automation capabilities with Automate with the robot solution. Great question.
Yeah. All right. I don't see any other questions. I'm going to close the poll.
Awesome, awesome.
And just for a quick recap, today we talked about 7.4 updates, the MIMIX transition, console, web mobile, robot monitor, drill down. We talked a little bit about the Performance Navigator dashboard, and of course, Independence Day for RBT SysLib. And
yeah, everything that we do on IBMI, HA backup and recovery. I talked about document management. We do that for people. We help them manage that in conjunction again with Windows servers. We realize that Windows is pretty predominant alongside IBMI, although we're seeing more Linux. Cybersecurity, we do our free security scans, but we also can help you out with any kind of audit project, exit point management, multi-factor authentication. Alerting, Chuck did a great job of covering that. If you're looking for a business intelligence solution, we have the SQL solution, Showcase solution, all very native to IBMI, and then even the Insight Analytics piece today. Capacity planning goes without saying. We are the leader in doing that for power, whether again it's AIX or Linux. And then automation, that's always been the secret sauce amongst the Help Systems robot family of products, is the more rules you have, the more automation you have. It's really more of a mindset than it is actually the technology, and putting the effort forward, and you'll be amazed what you get out of it.
And with that, we'd like to thank everyone for attending today's What's New with Robot. Hope you have a great rest of your 2019. Looking forward to serving you in 2020. Tom, Tim, any final comments?
Happy holidays.
Nope, appreciate.
Yeah,
Yes, appreciate everyone coming and joining us today. So great, thank you.
Yeah, keep the great questions coming in and needs. We make our software better by listening to you. So your ideas are always welcomed.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.